KLFY News 10 at 10.
Good evening, Acadiana. I'm Britt LaFaso. Thanks for joining us. Raymond Blanco, husband of former Louisiana Governor Kathleen Blanco and former vice president of UL, has died at the age of 87. News 10's Dawson D'Amico takes a look back at the legacy he created and what he meant to the people in this state.
Raymond Cindo Blanco's legacy began as a coach at Catholic High in New Iberia. He led a successful football program to a state championship in 1962. Former players knew Coach Blanco as a guide to do what's right for his players.
I think the unique thing about Coach was that he seemed to assume a very strong parental, fatherly relationship with a lot of his players, particularly those who were kind of in need of that type of parenting.
Coach made his way to the collegiate level in 1963, obtaining an assistant coaching position at USL's football program under then-coach Russ Falkenberry. Years later, his role changed from the field to the office as he became Dean of Students for the university. Still known as Coach on campus, Blanco took his role as an administrator serious and was able to win the hearts of everyone on campus.
You can't talk about Raymond Blanco without talking about UL Lafayette and vice versa. I mean, there are so many people who tonight didn't know a lot about him politically, but knew him as coach on campus or knew him as the dean. He loved his job at UL, and he didn't want to leave that, but he loved the political game maybe more than anybody else.
One big part of Blanco's legacy is being the first and only first gentleman when his beloved and late wife Kathleen Blanco took office as the governor of Louisiana in 2004. Known as a great contributor to the work she put in for social justice in the state of Louisiana, Coach was known for being right by her side in every way.
He was very supportive and very involved in the civil rights movement. That's a long time ago, but the continuing effort to make things fair, make things just with the system of justice and with dealing with everyone.
After his retirement in 2009, Blanco enjoyed his role as husband and loving partner to his wife until her death in August of 2019. His legacy continued on till his death, as he was a great role model and contributor to many people in his life.
I think that's his legacy. I think the people that he was very close to, who shared his values and his philosophy, and I think you'll see in the future that reappearing in a variety of fashions.
There was no one like Raymond Blanco before him, and I don't know who's coming after him. I mean, he was one of a kind, once in a lifetime.
In Lafayette, Dawson D'Amico, KLFY News 10.
UL Lafayette President Dr. Joseph Savoy issued a statement on Blanco's death. He says, quote, Coach Blanco once said that students were amongst his best friends, and our students never had a better friend or fiercer advocates than Raymond Blanco. Governor John Bell Edwards also issued a statement on Blanco's passing. The governor says some people make a lasting impression from the moment you meet them. Coach was one of those people. In Acadia Parish,